I am Vitold, and this one is an interesting topic as it's about essentially the same motorcycle, but in fact very different, which not always is so apparent. In the case of KTM 890 Adventure and 890 Adventure R, we've got two motorcycles that indeed are very different to ride, despite having the same engine, the same frame, electronics and many parts overall, but with a few significant ones being different. In this video I'm showing you the differences between the two, then presenting what they are like to ride in comparison with each other, and which one to choose for specific riding conditions. I've ridden all large and mid-sized adventure motorcycles, so I've got a certain perspective on the whole segment, especially what is possible here. Now, make a wrong choice and you're gonna suffer, mate. However, if you won't even know it, it's not that big of a deal, right? But it's definitely highly recommended to test all the motorcycles that interest you to make your own opinion first and choose based on that. You've got your own body, your own ideas and preferences, so it needs to suit you very, very specifically. That's a general advice. One more concrete is in the case of a few variants of motorcycles, like here with KTM, or in my previous video about two versions of Triumph Tiger 900, a GT and Rally. If you're a taller person, do not assume that you will automatically like the taller one more. Here with the KTM, it may actually make sense, but it doesn't have to in general, just on a side note. In KTM, it is confusing at the same time, so let's dig into it. Let's start with a list, and the first difference between KTM 890 Adventure and 890 Adventure R is the front fender, which in the Adventure is right above the front wheel like in most motorcycles, while in Adventure R it's located under the nose of the bike and attached there like in dirt bikes. It heavily influences the looks and style of the whole motorcycle. Now, to me, Adventure isn't exactly a beauty, but the Adventure R is just straightforward ugly. Yes, I'll openly state my opinions too, as this channel is all about transparency and I want you guys to understand me well during this journey. Now, the second difference is huge, and it's in suspension. Both motorcycles have it manually adjustable, but the R sits higher and has more suspension travel with 24 centimeters in the front and rear, while non-R has 20 centimeters of front wheel travel and rear wheel travel. It also applies to ground clearance, which there is more of in the R with 26.3 centimeters versus 23.3 centimeters in Adventure without the R. Both have plenty, but Adventure R has the most out of all motorcycles in the segment. There's also a different steering angle in both, so different geometry overall. All this translates into different riding comfort and handling, which will be two super important points to consider in a moment. The rims and wheel sizes are the same, but both motorcycles come with different tires. There are Pirelli Scorpion STR tires on an Adventure and Mitas Enduro Trail Plus tires on Adventure R. And those Mitas tires are definitely not keeping enough grip, so they are pretty poor in comparison with non-R on the pavement. I could feel that also in rear brake performance, which is medium, and well, in my opinion it's worse than in a non-R because of that pretty bad tire in the rear. Now let's move to the fourth difference, which is in seat height and the seats themselves. Here on the Adventure you can sit at 84 or 86 centimeters from the ground, as the seat is a two-part one that is adjustable. On the Adventure R, there is one piece that's fixed at 88 centimeters, you can't do anything about it. What's funny regarding sitting position is that I feel alright on the Adventure, while riding on Adventure R, I complain about the foot pegs being too high and the handlebar too low. Now, I've made this overlaying image of the two, and looking at the foot pegs position, it's identical by default. The seat of the R seems to be actually taller on its own compared to the Adventure, so the knee angle should be more relaxed, and I should be feeling better on the R, but I don't. And if you look closely, you'll see that the seat on the R is angled forward, and so your whole body also has to take a bit of a different angle, and so your feet have to adapt to that. Apparently this would not suit my body that well. So I suggest you check that out, as this in general is counterintuitive, so don't assume anything, just sit on both yourselves. Also, it's rather hard to use the gear lever and rear brake on both bikes, as foot pegs in generally are pretty high. However, on the non-R, the handlebar height feels way better due to sitting lower on the bike because of that lower seat. Foot pegs are also adjustable, which according to the dealer is not easy to do, but according to some of you guys in the comments under my full reviews of these bikes, it should be rather easy. So let's define easy. Anyway, try it before buying and make sure that you know in which position the foot pegs are. Just push the dealer. If they don't know, yeah, I was not supposed to say that. Bad word. Okay, anyway, just force them. I also like the non-R seat more than the Rs, even though it's also acceptable there and you can slide forward and backward more, but it's narrower than in the Adventure and of a different shape that suits me personally less. The fifth difference is in the windscreens, where on the R there is a shorter one that provides a clean stream of wind, so no protection, but at least there's no buffeting. It's really impressive in that matter actually. The non-R has a very, very good wind protection, actually way too good in the city on warmer days as it turned out, especially because of the heat issues of all of these motorcycles. The sixth is weight, which is according to KTM the same, but in the R it's of course located higher and the whole bike indeed feels more top heavy and harder to deal with when moving it around and riding slowly. The non-R appears as a bike that you can do whatever you want with right from the beginning, unlike with the R. The seventh point is short and it's about the rear rack that apparently by default is not there in the R according to what KTM presents on their website, despite my demo bike having it. Well, there's a question mark, especially that the rack itself is not listed as an accessory under the luggage category, so I wonder. It would be best to ask your dealer on your local market, in your local estate, yeah, but of course not that dealer, all right. Let's move to the eighth difference between the two, which is about colors, as there's a clear discrimination towards the R, which gets only one color option. But should we even say that it's an option if it's the only option? It reminds me of a Ford Model T, an optional black, also being the only option choice. The Adventure has two colors to choose from. Much better now, isn't it? And the last hard difference is the price, which on my market is 8.2% higher for the R variant. Another counterintuitive place that forces me to tell you about this important and actually very serious possibility that I'm personally very much convinced toward. I believe that the higher price of an Adventure R is misleading and definitely does not reflect this motorcycle being a sort of higher, more upscale model compared to the non-R. This is a trap, likely, that I would like you guys to not fall into. I myself feel the pressure of thinking that because of that sexy R letter, 890 Adventure R is a better, more advanced motorcycle, but that's not true. It's just bloody sitting higher, and KTM charges more because they can. Perhaps that suspension is more expensive, and this would be a reasonably higher cost for the company to produce, and that would influence the price. What you need to know is that it's not like paying that 8-something% more is getting you a better motorcycle. According to my experiences, on the contrary in this particular case. And let me explain, as this is how I smoothly transition to what those differences actually mean when riding these two on the paved roads, which is where I ride and where I took these. These are marketed as adventure motorcycles and then interpreted by middle-aged males as enduro. So in fact for environments where dirt bikes belong. These KTMs still weigh twice as much as a powerful, decent, big dirt bike. You've got 100 kilograms on top, and this alone makes them totally incomparable with enduro motorcycles, with dirt bikes. Well, you may call something smaller enduro too, so let's just stick to the name of dirt bikes, which are off-road motorcycles. This is a terrible trend that leads to too many people getting injured thinking that they are on a 100 plus horsepower off-road machine because the website states so, and they see journalists being sent to Africa or some other remote place where they ride through the woods or rocks and it looks cool. Me, I can take a dirt bike, I can lift it by 180 degrees and I keep riding. You can see all I can do with the almost 1 liter KTM. I can just move its rear barely. Alright, back to the differences on the road. First of all, suspension comfort is different in standard settings, as R is simply stiffer and less comfortable, as you just simply feel the bumps more. Adventure is better, but I still wouldn't call it exactly very comfortable, as it's just on a stiffer side still. Then there is handling at low and high speeds. Adventure R is not perfect in terms of balance at lower speeds, like in the city traffic. Now then at higher speed it is getting better, but still not good in my opinion. Mind you that this is after riding everything that's there in the segment. And I'm not riding a bike that would be a competitor to this. It's not a GSR Adventure or a Triumph Tiger Rally, which would be directly competing with the R. That's not why I'm saying this. The non-R, on the other hand, is really cooperative and so much more enjoyable to flip left and right. It's to me just better in everything it does on paved roads. It's still not perfect, but definitely on the good side of the scale rather than somewhere in between or even under the good like the R, in my opinion still. And this under the good means basically bad, just with more diplomatic words. And I also do not own the 890 Adventure without the R, so yeah, there you have it. If you would like to dig deeper on all that, check my full reviews of these two motorcycles, starting with the Adventure, and then you see how the Adventure R changes my expression. And it's genuine. I gave the stunning Adventure an 8.5 out of 10 overall, while the R got 6.5 from me. And I think that the Adventure without the R could be the best and most exciting motorcycle in the whole segment, also depending on what is important to you. It's got one possible deal breaker, which is the heat management. Gets extremely hot if you ride it hard, but yeah, this is how much more fun I can have on the non-R on the streets. Huge difference to me. I just want to keep riding it and not stop. And on the R, it's more like riding a Warthog. It surely can be exciting, but not in the most civilized and encouraging way. So this is it. I hope you guys found it useful. Subscribe for more honest reviews and comparisons that are coming. See you!